Hello and welcome. This is View from the Top. I am Modile Sharafa Yusuf, and I'm glad that you could join us. Dr. Jimoh Ibrahim is a lawyer, businessman, and politician. He's the chairman and CEO of Global Fleet Group, a diversified conglomerate with business interests and subsidiaries in Nigeria and neighboring West African countries. Clearly one of the most talked about businessmen in Nigeria today. He kindly joins me on View from the Top, and I am delighted. Thank you, Dr. Jimoh Ibrahim.
Thank you, ma'am.
Before we begin our conversation, here's a brief biography of my guest. Born on 24 February 1967, Dr. Jimoh Ibrahim studied law at Obafemi Awolowo University, graduating with a Bachelor of Laws degree. He went on to obtain the degree of Master of Public Administration from the same university and later attended Harvard University, United States, graduating with a combined Master of Laws and Master in International Taxation degrees. He was once appointed the Chief Consultant to the federal government on petroleum tax payment, collection and monitoring. He was member, Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, and Chairman, Special Committee on the Federation Accounts. At another time, he was a consultant to the International Monetary Fund on tax reforms in Croatia and Lithuania, consultant to the federal government of Nigeria on value-added tax, and a key member of the team that designed the tax reform for the state of Bangladesh. Dr. Ibrahim has interests in oil and gas distribution, hotels, resorts, airlines, banking, real estate, insurance, publishing, and other investments. Once a member of the Board of Trustees of the All Nigeria People's Party, in 2003, Dr. Jimoh Ibrahim mounted an unsuccessful bid to become the governor of Ondo State on the ANPP ticket. He was recently conferred with the third highest National Honors Award, Commander of the Federal Republic. Let's start with arguably your most high-profile investment to date, Air Nigeria. When you suspended the operations of Air Nigeria in September 2012, you said it would be for 1 year. It's been 2 years since then. What's keeping Air Nigeria grounded?
Actually, I've sold. I suspended the operation of Air Nigeria in order to have safety. You see, when you are running a sensitive airline like Air Nigeria, and people's lives are at risk, you know, and you have staff, you know, demonstrating, that is not okay with the airline, because we diagnosed the reason for the demonstration, for the strike. It was uncalled for. People were arguing for March salary match. I mean, you want to collect a salary on the 1st of every month. You know, we say it's 30th of every month, that the month ends legally, so you can't get on the 21st. So why do you have to argue, go on strike on that? And before that, you'll be collecting the same salary for 80 years. On the 30th of every month. So why is it in a particular month you took to streets? So we felt that is not okay for safety, because it's, to us, some set of maybe competitive disadvantage, but there was infiltration into the union activities by a third party. And of course we can't find that. We saw the voice of Jacob and the hand of reason. So almost speaking, we cannot compromise the life of Nigeria because of money. You know, we continue to go on. We were running Lagos, London. We started Lagos, London. We got approval for Paris and all the rest. But I wasn't comfortable. I don't want somebody to see me on the road and say, oh, you say airline killed my father or killed my mother. That is something that you cannot come out from. So what we decided to do is to say, okay, let's see what we'll do within a year by re-diagnosing to find out exactly what the problem looks like. So we felt, okay, what we can do is to see whether we get a new set of staff, because this staff have been with Richard Branson. And this same set of staff were the staff complained of by Richard Branson before I bought the airline. But because they are Nigerians, I'm Nigerian, I felt that there's no need to sack anybody. And there's need for us to do reorientation, and they'll be fine with a Nigeria coming on board. So there are so many different situations. So that is okay, fine, we disinvest. So if we disinvest, we can sell off our shares from Air Nigeria and reinvest in other corporations. Throughout the period that we run Air Nigeria, we never had any crash. We never had any mislanding. We never had, even we rarely have a return flight. So we always make sure that everybody was safe, and it caused a lot of attention.
Do you think that you bit off more than you could chew with Air Nigeria?
Not at all. We had enough to, look, why did I do that investment strategically? We were almost cleaned up in all the company that we bought. They were returning back assets free from loan, from debt. So I then asked myself, you are 45. So what do you want to do with income from other company? Why not to buy this company for national interest? So all the money you made from other company, you can actually put in this one. Funding wasn't a problem. I mean, if it was a problem, we would not have got A330 to run Lagos-London. You know, we had brand new aircraft to run Lagos-London, and we had integrity. Remember, we had a lot of airplanes, so people thought that those planes belonged to GMO, which is not true. We leased those aircraft from the lessor. Once the lessor believes in your name, in the industry, they lease aircraft to you. So you don't need to buy aircraft. So when you see 12, 13, 14 aircraft, they say, oh, I had this money, GMO get money to buy this number of aircraft within 2 years. That is not true. We are leasing an aircraft for about $120,000, $150,000 a month. So it wasn't something that anybody cannot run as a business. You know, but people thought that you bought the aircraft, which is not so. So when we shut down the airline, then of course those aircraft have to be returned back to the lessor. And of course that's why you see few aircraft right now.
What do you know now that you wish you knew back then when you bought
I wish I actually didn't continue with all this stuff. I wish I had diagnosed the staff problem and take Richard Branson very seriously, and then do a fresh recruitment for a brand new airline. That's the only thing. But remember, we've done a lot of acquisition within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Normally, we don't normally sack staff. You know, so we try to see sacking of staff as the last option, because we believe that if you sack staff, they're going to go away with the information. So you need the information to continue to move forward. But I wish, as at that time, when I took over from Richard Branson, I could have shut down for about 3 months, do a fresh recruitment, do orientation, and then do a contract engagement, and then time of engagement, you know, and then sign off with every staff, each person signing a different contract. That would have made a lot of difference. That's it.
Before we leave the issue of the aviation sector, government is talking about relaunching a national carrier.
Yeah.
What model would you recommend should be adopted to ensure success?
That was where the problem of Air Nigeria started from. Remember, the minister said that he wanted a national carrier, and they were going to talk to me to do a merger. I told them I cannot merge with anybody. We cannot merge Air Nigeria with another airline. We don't know their safety records. I was the only IATA carrier in Nigeria. I was only IATA certified airline, or TRI joined later. So if you want to do merger, as the minister proposed then, how could I merge, you know, an IATA certificate with somebody who have not subjected himself to international audit for safety? It is dangerous. And if the plane comes down and drop in the sky, the first person to be mentioned is GMO. So I just decided we cannot do it. Now, if we talk about national carrier, Air Nigeria was the only national carrier as at that time. So I guess whoever buys Air Nigeria is the national carrier of the government, and that is the only certificate available legitimately. But if you look at it, to me, I don't think there should be merger of any airline, because everybody have different safety records, so that we don't compromise this. In terms of model for government cannot run aviation. Aviation is cash intensive. It can burn the whole budget. You know, you can imagine when we were running Air Nigeria, we were doing about 36 million every day for fueling to go to London and come back on 2 aircraft. That was a lot. You know, you may carry 10 people on board. So you can imagine you may not make the money, and you cannot stop flying. You must fly on schedule. At the time you're going to take off, you have to take off. So things like that, government cannot do it. Government is not organized to the extent of running a national airline. I don't believe government can run a national airline correctly. But if it's to correct the policies put in place by the former Minister of Aviation, where I think she has gone a little bit far in terms of setting up a national carrier, and which she named Nigeria Eagle. That was the name of Air Nigeria before I changed it to Air Nigeria from Nigeria Eagle. Everybody knew that. So why the frustration? Why attacking us when you are actually copying from us? As a matter of fact, the aircraft that was presented by the president as a national carrier for the first time, which the president rejected, was 27 years old. That is a grandpapa airplane. You can't fly 27, 29-year airplane in this day of technology. You know, this is the problem. So, and the president got wind of that. He didn't service. The president didn't come for the ceremony, for the unveiling of a national carrier. So, if money had been deposited to purchase aircraft, then maybe we try now to say, okay, let's go to the national carrier so that we can explain where those money went to. That may be a different cost of. But my advice to government is that let them sell off those aircraft to the local airlines that are running, so that there will be peace. Government shouldn't go into national carrier. You can't run it. It's difficult. How do you audit fueling? How do you audit tickets? How do you do control? And again, in aviation, there has to be no control. You know, as a matter of fact, the pilot takes control from instruction from the control tower. So there should be no government coming to control what you don't know about.
You've got your finger in so many pies.
Yes.
You seem to be investing a lot in media, in the media arm of your business. What attraction does media hold for you? And are you happy with the progress being made by your media group?
Yeah, media is very important. It's the third eye. It fights for justice. It creates hope in a hopeless situation. It creates justice in an unjust environment. As of today, the media, they're doing very well. The journalists are doing well. But I pity them a little because obviously they are not making a profit. They have not reached the breakthrough level. But I keep encouraging them. They will get there with time. But there is a supporting line of companies. I also expect our sister company within the group to support the media. Instead of using their money to be doing PR budget and all that, they can use that and give to Mirror or Newswatch to support them to be able to get up there. And the success recorded so far is alarming. Last year, we had about 9 of our boys claim they picked the award and NMA and all that. So this is a very encouraging thing. And I think I am satisfied and I'm ready to do more investment in media.
The Newswatch matter is still in court 2 years
Yes.
after you bought the controlling shares in the company. Is there anything you could have done to carry along the founding directors of the
No, nothing, absolutely. There are two matters. One is already God has given judgment. You are aware of that. The other one, I think, is adjourned for ruling. Without prejudice to the ruling of the court, but commenting on the judgment that was delivered by Justice Abang, there's something I could do. You pay 510 million naira to somebody for his investment in the company, he collected the money. So what could Jimo do to hold him back? You cannot eat your cake and have it. That's our position in Abang court, and it was sustained. There were evidence that was shown that the money was received and SPA was signed. We didn't just bang into your company and carry your company from you. You know, that is not the position. So what could I want to do? If people want to work, you see, my reason why I don't engage them is the fact that they are elderly people. You know, these are 70-year-old people. They want to still work. I cannot control them. How can I say, go and call me Riepo? The publisher is calling you, Riepo, come to his office. A 40-something-year-old man calling a 70-year-old, that's lots of respect. I'd rather die in poverty than to lose my social value. So I believe that I cannot do that. I cannot do that on morality ground. I cannot do that. So that's the reason. But I think they misinterpreted it. They thought that, they should still be working and all that. That's not the... But I don't want to go to deep comment because that will affect the issues that were raised in the other case. My comment is limited to those which judgment is delivered in the public record, so we can comment on that.
We must take a break now. We ask that you please join us again after the break.